We are so excited to have Los Coast in the studios. Thanks for coming in. It's being on the road, it's not easy, and to take the time, it's a gift. We appreciate it a great deal.
Thank you.
And congratulations, too, on the new album, Samsara. Playing tonight at the Record Bar, when we first heard about you possibly coming in and doing it in studio, there wasn't a date. I'm glad you found a gig to play, I guess being on stage tonight about 9 o'clock. So this has been sort of a meteoric rise for you all. And it's so funny that it's happened so fast because this comes together. It feels like a really well thought out, really well planned, really diverse CD, but it happened in a really short period of time.
Well,
it's funny. The actual polishing up of it took a while, but the songs themselves had been kind of in the works for a while. And we had a residency down in Austin where we got to kind of like flesh them out and play them night after night, week after week, I should say. And then when the time came to really, put it to the paper, finalize it all, we had kind of an idea about how we wanted it to sound, and we're really happy with how it turned out.
So, John, you and Trey met in 2015, and this actually started as a duo.
Yep.
So the residency that you were talking about, was it just the two of you, or do you have the band by then?
Over the course of, I think, 2 different residencies, we added members. It started out just Trey and I, then we brought on Megan, then we brought on Damien, then we brought on Natalie. And over the course of like about 2 years, we just kind of assembled the Avengers, so to speak. That's how I like to think of it. But yeah, when it just started out, it was just Trey and I. And there was a lot that I was doing with a laptop. And then what we realized, what we could do with a laptop, we could do with a real band, and it's more organic and it's more full, and everyone brings something new to the table. And we built something kind of cool. I'm excited about
I got the sense that you were still finding yourself in the course of this residency, but the people started coming.
Yes.
It was a little bit of a surprise to you all.
Yeah. I remember we started out playing Trey and I alone at late at night on a Monday in some, deep South Austin for 2 people. And then within a, year or so, we were filling up this little soul bar that we played at every Thursday for about a year. And by the end of that run, we were, line out the door. So it felt really cool to see it evolve and grow. And I felt like, the little seed Trey and I planted all those years ago is now kind of blooming, and it's really cool to see.
One of the quotes that I read from one of you is that you described the band as Sam Cooke, Little Richard, and Otis Redding shot through a psychedelic filter.
Nice. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually kind of both brought songs or song fragments into this from the very beginning.
We did. Trey had a lot of stuff from his childhood that we brought, and the structure of them, the chords and the lyrics were so great. And then, all it really needed was a new coat of paint. And then there was some stuff that we cooked up on our own too, or kind of pulled stuff together, and it kind of felt like Lego pieces in the end. We had this cool bass line, and we wanted to put this cool synth line on top of it, and we kind of stacked it up, and it worked out. Yeah.
Well, we'd love to hear some music. This is Los Coast on the Bridge.
One day when I'm old and gray, finally think of the right thing to say. Do you still feel the sun in your face? Or do you still feel my hands in your waist? Those old love songs stole me away. Your head in my lap, king for a day. Used to think when you'd walk through the waves, how you caught between youth and your older age. make it this far. Used to let down my guard. Ended up with graves in my yard. Oh, 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 oh. I'm done, they won. Now I got a head like a machine gun. This is all for the best, I'm told. Don't let your soul get sold. It's not this, then it's that, they say. Close my eyes and the whole thing was gone away. Oh, it was gone away. It was gone away. I'm gonna teach myself what to erase. Write it down with style and grace and mess it up in uppercase. No American pie, no velvet rope, just a big red flag in an envelope. Will you help me restart? Will you take me apart? Oh, 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 oh.
Los Coast in the Bridge Studios. That is Graves from the new album Samsara. They're playing tonight at the Record Bar. You know, I wanted to talk to you, Trey, about your musical influences because they're kind of like all over the road. You got the gospel thing early with a Southern Baptist upbringing.
Right.
But then on the other side of it, your uncle was Hiram Bullock.
Right.
And, he sort of gave you a pretty good example of a guy that played on just all kinds of
Yeah, he played
things.
on. I think that's kind of where I started thinking like that. Is he played on so many different kinds of records, and I don't know. I think that kind of like broke my cycle of thinking about genres in the first place, because he was kind of a gun for hire. Like, he ended up just arranging music for Letterman just because he could change genres and make people feel a certain way, and it was really awesome. So I just thought that was something worth looking into.
So he's not only in Letterman's band for a couple of years, but, like he was on so many great albums and played with so many great people. Paul Simon, Sting, Billy Joel, Miles Davis.
Yeah, I played Miles Davis.
I mean, that's just, stunning stuff. He died from cancer way too young.
He did.
And, I just kind of wondered where that fell in your development. You had to be pretty young.
Yeah, I think I was in high school, and I went to his funeral, and he was a Buddhist. So that was also like an introduction to Buddhism, because it was really spiritual experience. And there was just chanting. There wasn't like a lot of like speaking and stuff, and it was like all about energy. And then his like contribution to music made the crowd, like not the crowd, but the type of person that was there, also kind of artistic. And I remember thinking that was definitely like one of the most moving. Like, I couldn't erase it from my brain if I wanted to. So it was just really.
It's you kind of gave me an answer to a question I haven't asked yet. It's like, here you are, you come out of a Southern Baptist upbringing, and yet Samsara, the name of the album, is Sanskrit.
Right.
And so it's like, Hindu.
Mm-hmm.
And so like just that journey of how do you get to that point?
Yeah. I think I picked it because we were playing soul music. I thought it would be good to tie in spirituality. I don't know if it was too aggressive or not, but and I just kind of thought about like where we are politically, and the story of like Eden, and that's kind of what Samsara is when Adam and Eve leave Eden. It's the equivalent. So I just kind of thought about like the cultural relevance of how people feel now that they have kind of like, they know the knowledge about everything, and they're like, whoa, that's crazy that was going on the whole time, because now it's kind of over the head. So yeah.
You were also inspired by Rene Descartes.
Yes, I love him. Yeah, I love it. And that was one thing that me and John always talked about, was how like his ideas on the soul, and how he tried to almost prove it in like a scientific way.
I think, therefore I am,
Yeah.
But yeah, we started to kind of connect the dots between various types of spirituality and kind of thinkers. And, the funny term is the term soul music. People really, they kind of forget that it's the word soul is so much more than just a little genre of music. And so what we try to do is kind of expand upon that and kind of like bring in the concept of the soul on like a kind of philosophical or spiritual scale into the idea of soul music. And so it kind of is like soul music mixed with the theories of the soul kind of thing.
And I don't know, I think when we were first working on it, we also realized that there was like a trend happening at the same time, because we're kind of we're more introverted than some people, but I think because me and not sure if you know, but like Liam Bridges and Benjamin Booker, and I think Brittany Howard were like all the exact same age. Like, so it was like kind of weird that was going on. And then I think we were all like 27 at the time. So it just kind of felt like something I just like wanted to like point out, that like soul music also had like this kind of like all this philosophy based around it as well. And that's just kind of the route we went.
So you are the primary lyricist?
I do, right?
Yeah, but you two kind of went into a closed room and sort of, knocked heads around songs and.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'd always been focused on instrumental music and like beat crafting, but also I played in jazz bands and stuff, and played different instruments. But it felt like a really good match because just my knack for the sort of nitty gritty things and instrumental music, and then Trey's got such a good poet inside him, so I really do feel like
that part, I remember that being like the perfect match. Is John had like a ton of just instrumental music,
and I've been writing poetry like since I was like 11 or 12. So I just like had all this stuff, and then we could just, it was a good way to just like collaborate. Like a lot of it we didn't even end up releasing, but it was just a cool way to be to just like freestyle and, you know, try to figure out, and maybe that's why the band ended up growing as fast as it did. It's because we were just creating a lot. We were creating stuff that was more off the cuff. So,
Well, it's a great record. We'd love to hear some more music if we could.
Okay, great.
There was a time when it all just fell in line, but the more I try, the less it feels alright. And there was a place, those were the days. There was a way
Well, that was kind of spectacular. That was really great.
Thank you.
The Morning Wait, another track from the new album Samsara from Los Coast, playing tonight at the Record Bar. So, you know, we've been talking to you, Trey and John. Maybe we should introduce the rest of the members of the band. I know that we even have one person that's got a bit of a homecoming.
Yeah, so Megan Hartman, our bass player, grew up just down the road from here, and so it's good to be kind of back. We stayed with her dad last night. It was very, very nice.
Yeah.
And then we've got Damien on the drums, and he is a native of Texas, as am I, and so is our keys player, Natalie. And it's just been really great to be here, and it's a lovely day, and we're excited to be here, and thanks for having us.
Yeah. So Trey you're from Georgia, where you had Trey and the Mighty Hopefuls.
I did.
Yeah. And you know, it just sucks when you've got a band and all the other guys decide to get married.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Well, I think that we had decided, because we've been playing since we were much younger. So we had like decided if we wanted to be full-time musicians or not before, when we were kids, when we weren't even thinking about money or, you know, relationships or anything. We just decided if it was like something we wanted to fully commit to. And I think we just started dropping slowly, and then it became like a tongue-in-cheek name change that we did. Right?
So you are in Georgia. You don't have a band. You want a band. Never been to Texas. Pick up and move to Austin.
Yes, sir. And then I met John. Yeah.
Yeah. Now John's
I figured that's where the best musicians were. So.
Yeah. So John, you had a similar story in that you were going to go to school, and you made the decision about which school to go to based on which town had the best music scene.
Yes, that is true. In the back of my head the whole time, the live music.
And I was gonna go to Colorado for college, and that's where John went to college.
Yeah.
But I ended up changing at the last minute.
I went to grad school in Austin. And yeah, you know, that was really interesting because, you know, I went down there kind of thinking I was going to take one career path, and then music just became more and more and more part of my life. And you know, it's a really special thing that, you know, to see something taking shape and see some momentum happening and double down on it and say, okay, let's see how far this rabbit hole goes. And I'm just so grateful to have met Trey and the rest of these cats, as they say in the jazz world, these cats. I don't know why they say that, but
well, you kind of you describe yourself as, and these are my words, not yours, but sort of a jazz nerd shot through a jam band filter.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a jazz guy that loves Jerry Garcia.
Yes, that's actually quite apt or accurate or whatever term. Yeah, and you know, I think that part of that was living in Colorado. You know, I had done jazz work before, and then but you know, what I realized is there's like both of those kinds of worlds, they live in the instrumental world. You know, I loved, you know, a good jazz singer, but most of the music I listened to was instrumental, and most of those jam band concerts are 30-minute solos. So it felt really cool to kind of bring it back a little bit and to really appreciate the art of the song and not the art of the solo or the arrangement. And so I kind of got humbled a little bit, but also was able to still kind of do my thing. And yeah, it worked out.
So you all got noticed for getting huge reaction to the live shows. But then when it came time to make a record, I got the impression that you sort of did things like one layer at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot of multi-tracking. We did like pop recording styles, which is kind of different because it's a rock and roll record, and they don't really, not a lot of bands do it. I think Blink-182 does it, but I don't want to call people out. But it's just like, it's a more, there's more control over the recordings. And we were kind of on a budget because it was our first album. So I was like, all right, this seems like a way that we can listen back without, you know, kind of stressing out everyone. Because we're also forming our live band at the exact same time. So we were kind of making up for lost time.
I got the impression that you reworked this record and reworked this record and
that time
reworked this
reworked it.
record and
we
reworked this
were a
record.
bit perfectionist about the whole thing.
Yeah, and I figured if we had like things on, we would tracked some things and they'd be changed, but I figured that way we could take time to like listen back to it and, you know, make sure it was what we wanted to do. And if we didn't want it, we could just cut it out rather than cut out like a bunch of things all at once.
So you guys met in 2015. So just a little over 4 years ago. And you have an album on New West, and you're opening for Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real, St. Paul and the Broken Bones, Black Pumas, Gary Clark Jr. Pinch Yourself?
Sometimes it does get pretty cool.
That's exciting.
I think that we focused a lot on our art, and I think it's been received well by artists, which is a really cool feeling because you get to like talk to them, and you know, you grow through your knowledge and understanding of the art just as much as creating it. So it's been kind of like they're good mentors, you know, and I try not to take that for granted.
Well, the first record is spectacular, and it just makes you want the second record. So I hope you guys are working hard already.
I'm trying to get back to it.
All right. We'd love one more song if we could. Los Coast on the bridge today. I think we got a little bit of the Southern Baptist in that song.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely went to
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to get all the different things in there. It's just a brilliant first record, and y'all should be really, really proud.
Thank you.
And I know that you're working really hard, and I know I've said this to you already, but thanks so much for the time. And
Thank you.
special thanks to Megan's dad for hotel accommodations.
Yeah.
There is
love
a
that.
show. There is a show tonight at the Record Bar. They'll take the stage around 9:00, and I'm sure you'll have Samsara at the merch table, right?
Yes, we will.
All right. It is on New West Records. It's a brand new record. Los Coast, live in the Bridge Studios.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much for having
Thank
us.
you.